So this is what my desktop looks like most of the time now. I have some code project going on and I have Claude Code open, going to do some work on the project. And for personal projects, just dangerously accept permissions mode, off we go. But for actual real world production scenarios inside of corporate environments, you must have controls around what these agents can do. And so we can see the conversation on the right here. I've actually asked it some questions, like look up what a file does, but then I asked it to go and like find an API key in a production file. And what we now have is we're doing these checks to make sure whether that I have as permissions to go and read those files. And this is now being blocked by organizational policy. What we've just released with Cerbos Synapse is a native integration between Claude Code and the Cerbos ecosystem for doing policy-based access control and ultimately guardrails inside of your Claude Code environments. So on your user machine, you can use MDM capabilities to push configuration down to all your Claude Code instances across your employee base. And that goes and configures a hook between Claude Code and your Cerbos Synapse instance running inside of your IAM domain. This hook then takes every tool call that's occurred, passes its name, its input, whatever roles or users that's running it. It can go and enrich that request with context from an IDP, and ultimately it'll then take that and pass it to a policy. What that looks like in practice back in Cerbos Hub is every decision and every tool call is being evaluated against a policy, and we get a clear audit log of every decision that's being made to lead to whether those tools and those agents are allowed to do it. And we can see here that this particular event, a read on this particular path, was actually denied based on our policy. And we can actually go and look at our policy file underneath, and you can start building up these layers of rules. So system-wide rules, regardless of whether you're an engineer, a marketing team, someone in the sales team, you should never be able to touch secret files, environment files, or certificates. You can return context for why a decision was blocked or an action was blocked back to your user so they understand what's going on. We can then, for different roles, even further scope down. So, for example, the marketing team can read the assets, but they can't necessarily make code changes. We're not going to allow anyone in the engineering team to go and actually run dangerous commands like RMRF or git force push or those type of commands. And the key thing here is we've extracted out all the controls. We're no longer relying on Claude itself and the LLM itself to decide what's sensible and reasonable. We've extracted that out into a policy-based decision, which can be centrally managed, versioned, and audited, giving you that unified audit view of what decisions were made across all your different agents, deciding which tools to be done, by which user, in which role, and then give you a central control point to go and update and change and evolve their policy. One small policy change, and the coding agents will then respond on the next request appropriately based on your latest scenario. If you want to find out more, love to chat more in the comments and show you a real world demo of this in your environment. Thanks.